What's up guys, and welcome to another Scrum Sunday. This week I've got something really interesting for you guys. Gautam Dagar, the captain of the Indian national rugby team, Indian Sevens team, and the Delhi Rebels RFC. Gautam and I are going to be talking about the sport of rugby in India, how it's grown from something at a grassroots level, only a couple of hundred players, to something where they had 1 million players sign up in the last year. Gautam and I will also talk a little bit about his fitness routine, about his nutrition, and how he's been coping with his training during this COVID lockdown. First, let's take a look at some of Gautam's highlight reel from the last Sevens tournament he played in. Remember guys, if you like my content, like, subscribe and follow. Now let's crack on with the interview. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to me. I've been really excited to do this, obviously. How are things going for you at the moment?
At the moment, it's lockdown everywhere, so we are in our homes because of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the situation here.
So I just wanted to start with a couple of questions, really. You know, traditionally, when you think of rugby playing nations, India's more into the cricket and into the hockey and into the sort of the soccer and stuff like that. So it's a little bit unusual to have a chat with someone that's as into rugby as you are. What sort of started your interest in the sport? When did you start?
I started the sport when I was 15 years old in 2004.
Okay.
So in my area, so before that I used to play wrestling, and kabaddi, the local sport. So then one of my friend introduced me with a club in Delhi. So it was a local club. So he said that he want to try rugby. So I heard first time about rugby that time. I said, okay, we'll give it a try and then we'll see, because I like all the combat sports and all. So I saw couple of times that game in the TV, and bunch of our friends, we all go there together, and some of us stay with the game. We love the game very much, like everything. It's a mix up of everything: athletics, wrestling, kabaddi, and most the values which this game teach us. That's the main thing which we keep going with the sport.
And was there anybody when you were a younger guy, like when you're sort of 15? For me, for example, when I was growing up, England they won the 2003 World Cup, and I still remember really clearly watching that 2003 final versus Australia, watching Johnny Wilkinson kick that ball between the posts. You know, it was really exciting for me. It was the first time that I've ever really been engaged with the sport, and I'd say probably they were my idols when I was growing up. Do you have any particular players that stand out to you as someone that you really look up to?
Yeah, I always admire John Olomo, and I always admire him. And in Indian players, Nasir Hussain. So he was a former captain. Now he's the CEO of Indian Rugby. So he was the best player for us. He was the idol. So whenever we went to any tournament and we saw him play, so we were like, we got a goosebumps, and we were talking about like that, okay, we have to play like him and we have to be like him, and we have to train. And then we talk to him sometimes and ask him how you train, and he really motivates and he talks to us, and he every time in 2010 in Commonwealth Games, so he was my teammate. So that was a dream come true that we play with our idol.
In terms of sort of the situation at the moment with rugby in India, how do you see the sport progressing, and how is it at the moment?
So most of the games are sevens. Sevens is Olympic sport now. So when I started in 2004, that time there are only few clubs in India. There are hardly 12 to 15 clubs in India. And nowadays there are more than 100 clubs registered in India. And in terms of growth now, so this sport is into the grassroots level. So we have more than 200 districts
Mhm.
which actively participated in all the rugby tournaments. We have more than 20 states. So we have around 30, 31 states, and out of that, more than 22 or 25 states, they're actively playing rugby.
Mhm.
And the level is like that. So we have a zonal team, then we have a district team, then we have a state team, then we have a national tournament. So like that, we have a pretty large setup now. So we have under 14 tournaments, we have under 17 tournaments, we have under 19 tournaments in school level and university levels and senior level also. So now the game is growing up rapidly. Like we have a lot of players and a lot of tournaments. 15s, we have three tournaments now. One is All India, which is the biggest tournament. So level one, you can say. Then we have a Kelagan Cup, which is Division 2. And now we started recently, last year, we started Division 3 tournament also for the 15s. In terms of game, the growth of the game, last year we covered more than 1.5 million new players through Get Into Rugby, that program. Now, like recently, we are just Rugby India hosted a tournament. It's a virtual tournament, and the matches is between one team with the other team, and you have to vote for the team. Today we started the tournament, and we have 8 matches yesterday, and in 12 hours we have more than 50,000 votes.
And I mean, India is such a populous nation that you've got such a big talent pool to choose from. You know, that's really promising for the future, because when a country with such a large cross-sectional population turns its mind to getting good at a sport, you've got so many people to choose from. In terms of the present situation, you know, you mentioned that you're having this virtual tournament, so that's keeping interest in the game going, even though people maybe don't have the opportunity to physically compete. What are your preparations for sort of the present time and what's going to happen afterwards? Are you obviously you're working behind the scenes still to keep the game alive?
So right now the social media is one of the biggest platform in India to keep connecting with the people. So that virtual tournament is really helping us. You know, the awareness of the game, regarding awareness of the game and everything. Delhi Rebels is in the first division, and in the first division we have top 12 clubs out of India. Then Division 2 have the next 12, and then Division 3 has the next 12 or 20 clubs. Every year, top 3 clubs is promoted to the next division, and bottom 3 clubs is relegated to the least division. Last year, we won the Division 2, and we promoted to the Division 1. After this, when the lockdown is finished, we might start our regular training sessions and matches. We have a All India tournament in September. So if everything goes right, we're preparing for that.
And you know, I mean, you've been in the game now for 16 years. How have you seen the change in this 15, 16 years? Have you seen a change in sort of the physical side of the game in terms of how teams prepare with training and diet and nutrition and exercise, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so when I started in 2004, so that time there are very minimum numbers, and the players, they come from different backgrounds. So they are working class, some of them are students, and they don't know about the game. So that time we would like just, you have to grab the ball and you have to run. So that's all the perspective we have. But during, like, after some time when we play and we saw, we get coached by different coaches, so, and different styles, so then we know how to play the game, then how you involve new skills, and how you can uh, manage yourself to get into the team. You have to, how you can do your fitness level, what's the fitness level of the others, like if you can see South African players, if you can see New Zealand, England, so their level is different and how they train. So we used to see a lot of videos, and then we involve their videos in our training sessions. But nowadays we have a dedicated SNC coach from South Africa, and Nas Botha, if you know that, so he's a legend. So he is a head coach of Indian national team. So now they keep sending us the program, and we follow that program uh, in terms of strength and conditioning, in terms of skills. And then once we have a tournament, so then we come together like 3 or 4 weeks before, and then we train together, and our fitness level is on the same side, and the game plan and everything is changed. So they help a lot.
You know, I mean, when we're talking about a rugby player as in terms of their fitness. Obviously, different positions demand different types of fitness. So, you know, when you're looking at your front eight, then you're looking at people who need a lot of muscular strength and they need a lot of power. And then as you move into the backs, you're talking about people that need speed and explosivity. But when we talk about a rugby player in general, what would you say the most important aspects of fitness are for a rugby player?
Overall, if you can see, a rugby player has to be fast, has to be agile, and has to be strong. So in terms of physical fitness, now these days, so if you can see like 2004, I'm talking about it 2000, so that time old school rugby, that the forwards are like fat and big and huge, and backs are like skinny and fast. But
Yeah.
nowadays, I can see that, so it's that the backs and the forwards are pretty much same in the size, the speed. It's just their skill level. I'm playing a scrum half, so my skill is demanding is different. So I have to pass, I have to think, I have to call, I have to communicate like that in forwards. If I'm a hooker, so I have a good throwing skills. But nowadays you can see like hooker is also sidestepping. He is also very fast. They do their sprints in I think 12 seconds dead and all.
Yes, speed, agility, strength, of course. When you're looking at the national team for India at the moment, what would you say the key strengths are that you have as a team in terms of either skills or fitness or something like that? I mean, maybe you have a really strong pack or your playmaking is fantastic. What would you say the strength is in the team?
So in terms of Indian team, so we are very good in backs. So our back line is good. So we have a good mindset at the backs, and our forwards are also good. So it's like a combination of backs and forwards. We can adapt very fast. So that's our strong point. If a coach wants us to stick in a game plan, which he said, so we adapt that very fast. So that's our strong point. So according, like you can say, decision making skill, so that decision making skill is becoming better and better,
Mm.
because most of the players, they are very serious about themselves, train hard at home, they regularly do skill training. And we play a lot of local matches nowadays, so we are into the game. You can say like all the decision making skills is refining through these games.
And it's always difficult for someone to to assess also the weaknesses, especially someone in your position. But if you said that there was a key area that you needed to work on for the team, what would you say it was, and how are you progressing in working on that? What's your plan of action to go to work on it?
See, we are still a amateur team, so our players still come from different backgrounds. They are working, they have their other priorities also. But if we can spend more time together, then we can do much better. We didn't get much time to train together,
Sure.
and but like it's our strong point also that we adapt very fast. But if we have more time, then we can do much more better than what we are doing right now.
And talking about you personally, let's talk about your training routine. You train quite regularly. What would a normal week worth of training look like for you?
So I myself physical education teacher here in school. So my work timing is from morning 8 to 3. In the evening, I spend 1.5 hour in the gym. I do so. I have my own routine. So what I do: 2 days strength, 2 days rest, 2 days groundwork. And now it's lockdown, so the gym access is not there. So I have to do workout at home, and I keep sending my workouts to my club players also. So we are focusing right now on overall fitness, all the body movement, all compound movement. We're focusing on endurance more. Should help us when we come back to the ground. So strength, endurance. So we already strong, and we can perform better there.
It's hard at the moment, obviously, with lockdown, a lot of the facilities and gyms are closed. I think everybody's in the same
Yeah.
boat. I see particularly myself trying to keep people motivated and trying to keep them fit it's quite challenging at the moment. But in terms of sort of building that strength endurance, are there any particular exercises that you favor, and how are you getting around the lack of equipment?
For lack of equipment, what we do, we suggest them they can lift the, so they have the bag, so they fill the bag with the books or any weights. So any object which has some particular weight, so they can use that object. For example, like if we want to do goblet squats, if we don't have weight, so we put our heavy books into the bag, and then we can hold the bag, and then we can do it. If we want to do, for example, box jumps, so we can see any platform. If we don't have any platform, then we can choose a stair, so we can jump on the stairs. We access all these things which around us as a weight, and I plan the workout like that everybody can have some kind of access of the equipment.
And when you talk about obviously your specific focus for you, now everybody, again, we've said everybody has areas where they're strong and where they're weak. Do you have any particular focus in your training program for yourself? Do you want to get faster? Do you want to get stronger? Do you want to get more agile? What are you working on at the moment?
Personally, yeah. So I personally focus on my legs more because I want to run fast and play as a scrum half. So I have to be fast. So what I do, I use lots of legs workout and agility drills. I do. So I do lots of squats, jump squats, lunges, box jumps. I have that ladder also. I do ladder drills and things like that. For the upper body, so my focus is when I do legs workout. So it's if I do upper body strength, I'll do lower body endurance. If I do lower body strength, then I do upper body endurance, boxing in air and stuff like that. Most important, I do lots of stretching, lots and lots of stretching and mobility because I have to move here and there very fast. So I need to be very flexible for that.
And when you're talking about your stretching and your mobility routine, do you do anything like Pilates or yoga?
So I have a routine of particular stretching for me. Yes, I do yoga also. So I did a certification in yoga as well. So I do practicing yoga moves also. But my routine is like before the workout, before the warm up, I do mobility. After the workout, I do stretching, and I spend at least 40 to 45 minutes every day on my stretching. And I use foam rollers. I use elastic bands. I use medicine balls.
In terms of your diet and your nutrition, is that something that you put any focus on, and is it something that you have a structure to as well?
Some things are not available in the market, so whatever is available in the market, we eat that. But I keep track my calories. So I tracking my calories, so how much I take and how much I burn out. That's the thing which I particularly follow. So I most of the time I drink a lot of liquids, and I eat less food and eat vegetarian food these days.
Okay.
So no non-veg these days, just veg and liquid.
Okay. So that's an interesting point, actually. How do you find the vegetarian diet in terms of getting enough protein in? Because, vegetarian diets tend to be fairly heavy on carbohydrate, but when you're talking about protein, you've got things like beans and soya and tofu and that kind of stuff. Where do you get your protein from with your veg diet?
So I get my protein. So like you said, that vegetables like the pulses and also they are not a complete protein. They are incomplete protein. But I mix all the pulses together, so that makes them a complete protein. And I eat eggs, but in vegetables. So I eat paneer. It's a Indian tofu. You can say that. I drink milk, pulses, soya bean, like you said. Soya is a complete protein. Best thing of the vegetables is that in the vegetables you can find all the vitamins and the minerals,
Yeah.
which is a good thing for your body. There are lots of green leafy vegetables. I eat lots of salad.
Okay, cool. All right, interesting. Well, look, I think I've got through the questions that I wanted to ask. Look, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to me. It's been really interesting speaking to someone who's developing the sport and who's been in the sport for such a long time. I really appreciate that. So thank you so much for speaking to me today.
My pleasure.
All
Nice
right.
meeting you.
Nice
Nice talking to you. Yeah.
You too. All right. Have a great day. Thank you so much.